Welcome back to Game Changers Silicon Valley, a show about today's emerging innovations that may be the game changers of tomorrow. My name is Jim Connor, serving as your host. Amidst the ongoing innovation we are experiencing in the U.S. as well as in many countries, education has been one of the later participants to embrace new technology. There's been a hesitation to take chances on new programs, and it's been viewed as basically a risky activity. My guest is Betsy Corcoran, founder and CEO of EdSurge, which in my opinion is clearly the most informed and most respected source of information on innovations taking place in education. Betsy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim. Really happy to be here.
I visited your website today. Looks great.
Thank you.
And you're just telling me you guys did this yourself.
We did do it all ourselves, yeah.
Great. Well, let's start with an overview of EdSurge, what you're doing in EdSurge.
Absolutely. So, as you said, EdSurge is a news and information resource about everything in education technology. So, we started as a newsletter, and we started to really try to give the people who were starting companies in education technology a place to connect. But we very quickly realized that there needed to be a place where the people who use education technology, teachers, parents, students, could go and get some unbiased information about what are these products, what's the right place for them, where they get used the best. And so we started creating an index and putting up reports on these different technologies, and we started adding teacher reviews. And so now we do all that. We've got 1,300 education technology products on our site, and it's a lot. And we also run conferences, and we run a type of conference where we try to bring together entrepreneurs and educators. And what we really say, we say to the teachers, you guys are the experts. You're here to tell the entrepreneurs what you need in the classroom, what works, what you're trying to accomplish with your students. And the entrepreneurs, the guys who show, the men and women who show up at our conference, are there because they care about education. So they're really, really excited to have these kinds of really engaged conversations. So we do that too.
This is a pretty disruptive approach. Because
Talking together, you mean?
Yeah, no, I mean letting the customer, in a sense, dictate and giving them the platform to state their requirements and their needs. Normally, I was in software companies, and we went and did what we thought was best, talking to a few customers and using our broader, quote, expertise. And then we delivered a product that we hoped that worked. I mean, you could only do so much limited research. You're doing a very broad connection to that user base.
Education is different, right? Teachers aren't trying to maximize a bottom line. What they're trying to do is figure out how to engage, how to inspire, and how to teach our kids. And all of our kids are about as different as every snowflake that is hitting Boston and places on the East Coast. And so, you know, the teachers have very, very deep understanding of their students, of what they're trying to accomplish, of ways of teaching. And so what we're really trying to do is create this forum where they have a really open mic to share that with the entrepreneurs.
There's a couple subjects I want to go into, but you have just touched on something that is near and dear to my sense. Okay, and that is, a lot of people really criticize teachers, but what I'm hearing you saying is that, and I believe this too, teachers are very committed. They want to do the job. There's budget problems, there's administration problems all over the place, but they are extraordinarily committed. Now, is this across the board?
You know, so I have to tell you a funny story. Okay. So people always used to say to me, oh, you know, teachers don't like technology. But if you go back 5 years, 7 years, most of the technology that was delivered to teachers wasn't that great. Didn't work. And so I think teachers made a very rational choice to say, hey, you know what? We have a lot of things to do today, and fixing your problems and your bugs is not on that list. Yeah. And so what we have found is that teachers want to be great teachers. And when you give them powerful tools, they eat it up. We've had conferences where we had a guy who's been to thousands of conferences. And he came to me and he said, Betsy, I've never been to a conference like this. Where did you find so many amazing teachers? And I said, we just let them volunteer. We let them put up their hands and say, this is what I want. So yeah, I think that most of the teachers are that way.
Yeah, it's very disruptive, and it's a different way of approaching it. Let me talk a little about EdSurge. Wonderful newsletter. Everybody talks about it.
Two newsletters.
Is it two now?
There's two.
Okay.
Right. We have one that's really aimed at the entrepreneurs. That comes out on Wednesday mornings. And we have one that's really aimed at the educators. And that comes out on Thursday mornings.
How do you get all this work done? I mean, these are so deep, and they have links, and you drill down. And I mean, it's kind of like a mini encyclopedia for the week of what's going on in education.
Magic. You know, I have a long background in journalism. I got started much longer ago than I would like to tell you about. I've been a staff writer for the Washington Post. I've been a staff writer for Scientific American magazine, and I was a staff writer and editor for Forbes magazine for a very long time. And so I know something about how to be a good reporter. You know, we have built up a fantastic team of people. We have a group of almost 18 people. And we have some terrific reporters from wonderful places. In fact, just this evening, I was doing some editing on tomorrow's newsletter, and one of our reporters, who is a classics major at Yale, was making a wonderful reference to some classics literature, and she said, I'm so excited to put this in. So hopefully people will find that out.
So if I'm an entrepreneur in education, I go sign up for your entrepreneur newsletter. If I'm a teacher, I go sign up for your teacher's newsletter. If I'm an entrepreneur, I might sign up for the teacher newsletter also to get that perspective.
That would be smart.
Yeah. Are they different subjects? Are you covering the same subject from different angles?
A little bit of both. I think that there's probably about about a 40% overlap in the subject material. We do sometimes take different approaches. The teacher's newsletter is a lot more focused on tools in the classroom. We have a section, very popular section called School Tools, spelled SCOOL. So that's super popular with the teachers. By contrast, in the entrepreneurial section, we have a section called Ka-Ching, which is about funding. That happens to be very popular with the entrepreneurs.
I usually look at it first. Who got funded? Who got funded?
There you go.
So let's talk a little bit about the roadshow conference. I've been to your conference. They are fantastic, and the excitement level is just off the charts.
You know, the last conference we had last year was here in Silicon Valley. It was our, it's kind of our home base, so we love being here. We had more than 500 teachers. We had 30 or 35 different companies. We also had an awards program where we gave out 15 awards in conjunction with a nonprofit, Digital Promise, our partner. So these are pretty amazing conferences. They are a lot of talking. Everyone says, I should have brought more water. But a very, very powerful moment for everybody.
I went to the big educational conference in the U.S. I went to the one in San Antonio. I saw that the vendor floor, in my opinion, was relatively empty for about a 15,000 person conference. Everybody's in the back office sessions at all these interactive. That's where all the teachers are hanging out. Teacher-to-teacher conferences. Right. I'd never seen anything like that. And again, I've only gone to what I call financial software conferences, but that's quite different. And I think you're capitalizing, leveraging it, if I may say.
So I think what happens at many of the big shows, and ISTE is a great example of it, is that the vendors are there to sell. And so they give away fuzzy pencils and they give away chocolate bars. They're kind of trying to lure those customers into the booth. And really that's a very different idea than what we have. What we say is we're here to have people engage and to have conversation and to really kind of move forward the ideas of education. In that environment, the teachers can't stop talking to the companies, to the entrepreneurs. They're actually very excited to meet some of the entrepreneurs that are leaders in your companies. One of the companies I think you've had on your show, Curriculate, went to all 6 conferences that we had last year. Every single one, and just met, you know, literally hundreds of teachers, 6 different locations around the United States. It's pretty exciting.
How does an entrepreneur attend or participate in a conference?
Yeah, so when we have conferences, we partner with the local school districts. They tell us what their priorities are. We publicize that on our site in the newsletters, and then companies can apply. And so they fill out an application. We then work with the districts to have a panel of teachers, about 6 to 8 teachers. We give them a rubric for analyzing the applications. We usually get about twice as many applications, in some cases 3 times as many applications than we can actually bring into the conference. And the teachers grade them. And so then we're able to go to the companies that are selected and say, these districts are really interested in what you're bringing here. And that's very exciting for the entrepreneurs because they know that the teachers care about what they're doing.
So you have to go through that.
So you apply.
Yeah, you have to go through that qualification with the local school teachers, essentially, to get invited to your conference.
Exactly right.
Does it change among different cities?
Absolutely, yeah. Different, I mean, we're really seeing districts across the country identify different sets of priorities. Sometimes it could be math, sometimes it could be science, sometimes it could be professional development for their teachers, all kinds of things. And so the flavor of these conferences is very different from geography to geography. Sometimes districts want to work with very young companies, and they're excited about meeting companies that are in their geography. And sometimes, candidly, they'd rather work with a company that they're sure is going to be here in 10 years' time. So we try to take all those factors into account.
Let's talk a little about your the other part of your product set on the website, your product index. You've taken a different approach there too.
Absolutely. So again, what we started doing is putting up the names and descriptions of as many of the EdTech products as we can, and we've hit 1,300. And in fact, companies often write to us and should write to us and say, hey, I'd like to be in the index. And we're always excited when they do, and we try to get them in. But at these conferences that we have, we ask the teachers to fill out these feedback forms. And then we take those feedback forms, we give them back to the teachers because it's their notes. We give them to the entrepreneurs so they know exactly what teachers are saying. And then we put them all up on our website. So if you go look at Curriculate has, pardon me, something like 130 reviews from teachers all across the country who've engaged with that team, who've asked questions of that team, and who've commented on what part of my practice does this seem to serve. It's really interesting. So we now have, over the course of last year, we collected several thousand, I think 5,000 comments from teachers all over the country. All those are up on the website.
Could a company like Curriculate interact with any of those comments if they wanted to follow up, or is that
we're getting there.
We're
getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, we do make sure that all of the comments are accurate in the sense that if someone says, oh, this product costs too much and it's free, we usually kind of remove that comment. That's the only kind of editing we do. So we do edit for accuracy. Other than that, we put all the comments up, and we will very soon, I hope, have the ability for the entrepreneurs to kind of talk back to the educators.
You're quite an innovator. I have not bumped into somebody making as much of a wave in education in particular, a very difficult industry. I'm just wondering what brought you to this. I mean, did you get tired of being a Washington Post editor, writer, or what brought you to get focused on this education so much?
Well, for starters, I have kids, and my kids are in the public schools in California, and they're in great schools. I love the schools. I love those teachers. As a person who was writing about technology, though, I could see that there was this huge gap between what I knew technology could deliver and the kind of education that many, many students get across the country. The other thing that we know, and I believe this deeply, is that the kinds of kids, the needs they have, the experience they have, the backgrounds they have are so much more diverse now than they ever have been. When you and I were in school, there was, roughly speaking, one English language learner per school in America. Now there's one per classroom in America. We have kids who are homeless in districts and in school districts that you would think are some of the wealthiest in the country. So when you have this incredible diversity, teachers really need help. And so I was excited about actually getting involved in trying to help make a difference.
You didn't have you just wanted to be involved. You got into it and you started digging in it, or
Jim, I have to tell you the honest truth. I quit my job to do this. I quit a job that was a pretty nice, pretty sweet job, bureau chief of Forbes magazine, Silicon Valley, in the middle of the biggest recession that will hopefully ever happen in our lifetime. And so that you can take as a signal of how much I wanted to make a difference.
I'm going to wrap this up with a couple quick thoughts. Tell me about EdTech Funding. What's going on?
Sure. So last year was the biggest year that we have seen in EdTech funding for startups. We count the numbers. A lot of people count the numbers. It was, easily $1.5 billion going into venture-backed companies in education technology. That's huge. That's huge for education. It's still smaller than what Uber had. Let's be honest, okay? We're not talking about Uber-style stuff here. But it was a big year for EdTech. And I think that we're going to continue to see that kind of growth. We're seeing a level of maturity of these companies that's quite interesting, and that will spell larger funding in the future.
Let's put up the website of how people register.
EdSurge.com, absolutely. Please come. You can sign up for both newsletters. Again, there's the what we call EdSurge Innovate on Wednesdays. A little more entrepreneurial, EdSurge Instruct on Thursdays, which is a little bit more education focused.
Betsy, thank you so much for coming in. It's
Thanks,
been delightful.
Jim. Thank
I
you so
enjoyed it.
much.
Look forward to having you back. We'll follow
Absolutely.
EdSurge.
All right.
All right, thank you. This is Jim Conner. I'd like to thank you for joining us in this week's episode of Game Changers Silicon Valley. Each week, we'll address an area of innovation that may emerge as a game changer of tomorrow. We look forward to your continued interest and participation in upcoming shows. Good night now.